Aloha, everybody. It's October 9th, 2025. And while this restream is officially starting in 10 minutes or so, I wanted to come on and make sure everything technologically is working properly. I'm very fortunate today to have Jason Shapiro coming on as a guest to do some speed coaching for the traders who would like to have some of that support from him. I usually do these live coachings at least once, sometimes twice a month, but took off for the summer. And so just beginning to kind of get these back and started again. So I'm excited to be here. And I'm always excited to do some coaching for our viewers. We usually used to have, when I did these on a regular basis, anywhere from 200 to 300 participants. And I think basically, uh, when you pause for any length of time, getting that kind of a number of people coming on a regular basis is tricky. So, my hope is that you might spread the word. And if you're interested in live coaching for yourself as a trader, usually I will do the coaching around the emotional side, the places where you're blocked, the places where you get stuck, anything to do with you feeling like you have FOMO and it's just constantly overriding your trading strategy. That's what this is in service to. Now, what I often will try to do is bring on a trader, an excellent experienced trader who can coach you guys on the technical side. Uh, that level of coaching, I think, is a one-two punch when you have somebody coaching you around how you're trading technically, and then, of course, how you're trading emotionally. I think when you have both of those addressed, you really can become unstoppable. I think part of the issue is often that there's one in both categories that easily a trader can sort of be invisible to and not really realize it's happening. So that is ultimately what this is in service to today. What my hope is that we'll get in a couple of volunteers, specifically those who want to work with Jason and ask any kind of technical question. So ultimately, if you do have a question that you are comfortable, putting out there, so to speak, I would invite you to raise your hand, put a comment in. I'm monitoring all the platforms Restream is on, and I'm going to send you an invitation then for you to come in. I'm going to put it into the comments right now so that you can come in and have your issue addressed. Again, if it's a technical issue, then feel free to come on in for Jason to address for you. He'll be coming on in about 10 minutes. So I thought I'd come in a little bit early to kind of, let you guys know that that's what we're hoping to do today. Whenever I have done these in the past, the best conversations have been when a trader is willing to come into this room. So if you see in the comments there's a link to this Restream. What I'm going to do now is go into the live, at least on X, and put this link here. So if you want some one-on-one coaching, I'm going to put that in here now. Click this link. And then what will happen, of course, is you'll be coming into this live stream. So I just want you to be clear that you will be live. And but look, at the end of the day, guys, even when you are live, you can mitigate your question. You can put that question forward in whatever vulnerable state you want it to be. You don't have to go too deep. You can be actually quite, you know, conservative in what you say out loud, you can still get a lot of value, even if you don't speak specifically, to the deep, deep, deep dark of what you are looking for. Use your judgment. But I think this is an amazing forum that can get you jump started in a way that you usually wouldn't be had you not done this. So remember, a big part of trading is a willingness to be with the discomfort, right? At the end of the day, one of the biggest challenges that I see traders have is they have yet to learn how to develop what I call emotional grit, the difficulty admitting to yourself that you were wrong. The reason you stay in trades too long is because it's hard for you to be mistaken. It's hard for you to be incorrect. Why do traders stay too long in a trade? Because their ego is, not happy, and they don't want to admit it. And so they stay too long. This is something that comes down to how flexible your relationship is to yourself, how how flexible you are in your relationship to being human. Okay, you're always going to be human. So the key here is, do you have the emotional fortitude for what is inevitable as a trader? Do you have the emotional flexibility to be able to not take it personally? And if you take it personally, I promise you, you're going to pay, not only with your capital, but you're going to pay with just time and suffering that you otherwise would not have to pay. So that's part of why I do these lives. My hope is to ultimately put this kind of toolkit in every trader's garage, so to speak. I want you guys to have the best toolkit, so that when either you're feeling triggered, when you're feeling crushed, when you're feeling undisciplined, you have a tool for that. I've put this collection of tools together over the past 20 years as a coach, and another 10 years when I worked in finance. All of these are tools that I know work because I use them myself, and I've been sharing them with clients for 20 years, and I see the results they create for themselves. So part of what I feel is really critical today is to address that emotional grit. Is it as strong as it could be? How and where could it get stronger? And what I like to do in these live coachings is bring in a trader who can coach you guys on the technical side of what is happening for yourself with your trading. Where are you bumping into issues? Now, is it vulnerable to come into this conversation? Of course it is. But think about it. If this is an opportunity to talk to someone with the stature of success that Jason Shapiro has as a market wizard, why would you not take that risk? Why wouldn't you be willing to be vulnerable so that you could walk away with gold? That is the question you want to ask yourself. If you find resistance coming up at, oh, I don't want to look silly, I don't want to look like, like I don't have it all figured out in front of my colleagues or in front of my peers, that already is telling you you probably don't have as much emotional fortitude, emotional grit, as emotional flexibility as you want to, as your trading career will require of you. So this is what I'm saying all the time to traders. Step out of judgment and step into curiosity. The more curious you are about yourself, about your colleagues, about your trades, about what the market's doing, about what's happening, the better you will be. When you step into judgment, whether that judgment is over yourself or over, your concern of what other people will think of you, you have restricted your bandwidth, you have restricted your creativity, you've restricted your vision, you've restricted your capabilities. And I don't want to see anybody do that. All right. So checking here. Looks like we have about 50 people in X alone. So I'm kind of curious what and where. And again, if you feel too uncomfortable and don't want to come into this live stream, then please feel free to put your questions. You can put your questions in X, you can put your questions on LinkedIn, wherever you want to put those questions. Please feel free to do it, because will be I I will be looking at them and I will be reading them, and I want you guys to really feel like, "Okay, maybe I'm not comfortable enough to go into the room, maybe I'm not comfortable to go on the live, but I am at least willing to put my question forward and have it addressed." So, at least take up that opportunity for yourself, because, at the end of the day, guys, the more you develop yourself, the more you take responsibility for how you show up in your trading, in your life, in your relationships, the more chance you have at learning about yourself and further having a better chance of becoming much more conscious to how your trading is going. Just try to remember that your trading ultimately is going to be incredibly dependent on you being very honest with yourself. Think about the times when you have kidded yourself. Think about the times when you have told yourself white lies or straight up hardcore lies. Think about the cost that you've paid. In my experience, what I've seen is that when I am not willing to be with an uncomfortable truth, the cost at the beginning would have been so much lower than the cost that happens weeks, months, or years later. There is a really amazing phrase. I don't know if you've ever read this book by Joan Didion called Magical Thinking. And I am sorry to say there are a lot of traders out there who suffer from magical thinking. What is magical thinking? It's a willingness to step into sort of a fantasy land of what you wish life was, of what you wish your trading was doing, of what you wish you were able to do financially and otherwise. So much so that it distracts you from the reality of what is happening right now. That is the essence of magical thinking. Why is that of danger? Because it indicates that you possibly are telling yourself what your ego wants to hear and not what is actually the truth. And this is why it's really, really important, guys, for you to come from a place of, okay, I am willing to be with real discomfort and I'm willing to take risks like this kind of a risk, the kind of risk that coming into a live stream, well, it's only emotionally risky, right? There's no kind of physical harm that's going to come to you. Coming into this room, coming in to ask for coaching assistance, coming in to ask for some input, that isn't going to hurt you except if your ego is attached to how you look. If your ego is attached to having a certain kind of image. And now you got to think about it too. Do you really expect yourself to be perfect? A lot of traders do, and that also causes them a great deal of harm because when you come from a place of expecting yourself to be perfect, expecting yourself to have all your ducks in a row, that also can contribute to a lot of failure because you are expecting perfection from an imperfect creature, yourself. Humans are fallible. You will never not be fallible. So if you start to expect of yourself something that is an inappropriately high expectation, you have to be really honest with yourself. How could that possibly serve you? It's one thing to have some goals, but it's another thing to have inappropriate expectations. Hi, Jason. How are you today?
I'm well, Kim. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to have you here. Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, this whole thing's working. You can hear me and all that.
All is crystal clear.
Miracle.
Excellent. How's the day been for you?
Cannot complain.
Okay, good. Well, Jason, I always watch you on X, and you sometimes I feel are trying to kind of, shake the shoulders of some traders and have them just see things perhaps they don't see in this current environment. What do you feel is at least one thing you keep noticing that traders kind of struggle with seeing?
Um, the main thing that I started talking about yesterday is that I think that you have a lot of talk about the stock market being a bubble here, but you don't seem to have any talk about gold being a bubble here. Gold is up more than the stock market. Why is the stock market a bubble and gold's not a bubble? I'm not taking either side. I'm just asking the question. Why is the stock market a bubble, but gold is not a bubble? When gold is up more, and in fact, when I look at positioning stuff, people are a lot more long gold than they are the stock market, and a lot more bullish gold than they are the stock market. So why is one a bubble, but the other one's not? I think that's what people are missing here.
Yeah. And what do you think causes them to have that blind spot?
Bias.
Mhm. And do you feel that bias comes because they're just listening to too much noise, or do you think it's because they personally want it to be the case?
I think they want it to be the case. I think that the vast majority of people are well underinvested in the stock market, in particular relative to what it's done. So therefore, they want to believe in the bearish case. And part of the bearish case is the US is falling apart, the dollar is falling apart, the fiat currency system is falling apart. So that's bullish gold. I think it all ties in to the psychology of the I'm underinvested, therefore I have to be bearish case.
Do you feel like it's been like this for a while?
Oh yeah, this has been the most hated bull market in the stock market that I can ever recall for the last 3 years. I mean, I've been pointing this out and talking about this, and I'm not just guessing. I'm looking at, again, I can have bias just like anybody else, but I try to use data to tell me, and the data has been pointing week after week after week that this has been the most hated stock market that we've ever seen. That's starting to change now because I think that people are believing that while this may be a bubble in the stock, I hear this all day. While this may be a bubble, even the people that think it may be a bubble in the stock market think that there's more to go in that bubble. I hear that all day, every day. I think that people believe that and that the last part of the year is going to be very bullish. We started hearing a lot of that in the summer, where the idea was, well, the last part of the year is going to be very bullish, but September has bad seasonals. So what you want to do is wait for the market dip in September and buy that for the last half of the year. Well, the market didn't dip in September, did it? It went straight up. It's one of the best Septembers we've ever seen. So that didn't give them a chance to buy the dip. So now I'm watching curiously to see if they are going to chase the rip rather than wait to buy the dip now. And it seems like they're starting to. I don't know that they have fully done that as of yet, but I think probably over the course of between now and the end of October, that's probably the plan. And I don't know if they do or they don't. Again, I'll let the data dictate to me whether they do. That's my thought process, that I think they will. But let's see if they actually do. And if they actually do, then I think we might have trouble going into the last part of the year. Yeah. But this all remains to be seen. It all is a question of again, monitoring the actual data and not just what, hey, I might think,
Do you feel that your consistency at looking at that data forces you to be with what's so, as opposed to projecting what you want to be so on what you're looking at?
100,000%. It's what it does. And that's what I have to do because I'm nothing but a human being like the rest of us. You know what I mean? I have the same failures and the same issues as everybody else, the same biases and all of that. Right. So I don't want that to hurt me, when it comes to trading. You know, I always say, like, I don't care, right or wrong. I need to make money. This is what I do, right? So I have theories. I have different things that I think might happen, but I don't act on them unless the data is supportive of that idea. And once the data is supportive and the market action is supportive of that idea, then I will act on it as a trader. You know,
This,
that's sort of the difference between being a trader, I think, and whose P&L matters very much, to being an analyst who can just write shit, and it might all sound very logical and very intelligent and very smart and very well researched, but a lot of times it's also very wrong. But it doesn't matter if you don't have money on the line. You know, you just come back and you change. You know, you do whatever, and you know, people forget about it. You know, you move on with your analyst career, right? I don't, unfortunately, have that luxury.
now, this probably is a very silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you have access to data that most traders don't have
No.
access to?
No,
So what stops them from looking at it?
nothing except that bias. You know, bias. That's what stops them. That's what stops all of us from being successful in a lot of different ways in life. It's very hard to let go of your bias. You know, I have been, and with my stuff, you know, because I'm very contrarian, it's like when I'm bullish, it by definition means a lot of people are bearish. So I'll put bullish stuff like on Twitter, and I'll get cursed out by 90% of the people
What the
telling me I'm a
hell?
fool. Well, because they're bearish. So if I'm bullish, I must be a moron. You can go back and look at my old Twitters from 2 years ago, 3 years ago. People were like, "You're going to be sorry when this market crashes." I've been through this my whole life. I've been doing it this way forever. I know what it sounds like. You know what I mean? I know what it looks like. I love it when they do that because it increases my odds of being correct. You know, it increases my odds of making money. So I love it. It might not make me popular, but that's
But it
okay.
makes you funny. What do you always say? You say, make money. Like, be wrong. What was the quote that you
Yeah,
said?
be wrong, make money,
Be
right?
wrong, make money. Exactly.
So you know, it's a funny thing, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and yesterday I put something about, you know, I thought that gold was probably going to top right here or very, very close to right here. And you can go on Twitter and look, and I mean, I got railed on.
Shit.
You know, I got railed on for that because people are loving gold here, right? So for me to come out and say, hey, and it's not like I've been saying that the whole way. I've actually been pretty bullish gold this whole way. But yesterday was the first day I really came out and I was like, I think that we got an issue here in gold. Remains to be seen if we do. Okay, it went down today, but that doesn't mean that, you know, that was the top or whatever. But
Yeah.
I just think that the risk reward is not very good anymore being long gold. And I mean, I was, people on there are just telling me what a moron I am and what this. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. You know, I'm a moron. Okay, I'm not on here. You know, I'm just trying to help. You know, if you don't think that I'm worth anything or you don't think that my advice is worth anything, well, then by all means, don't listen.
Exactly.
You know, that's up to you. You know, it's very hard to accept the things that I'm doing. You know, it's funny because I have this subscription service that has you know, all this stuff, and it's hard to get people to be attracted to that because it's not agreeing with what you say. But the people that do join and have joined, I mean, they don't leave. You know, we have like less than a 5%, you know, whatever you call rate. I forget what they call these things because I don't run the business, but the person that runs the business is always quoting me these numbers, you know. I forget what they call the rate of leavage or whatever.
Totally.
But ours is like less than 5% because you have to be a certain type of person to accept that maybe what I'm doing is beneficial to you. And then once you join, you know, hopefully it is, and nobody leaves. So it's
Exactly.
efficient. You know, that's efficient. I think like if I was attracting everybody,
That's right. That's right.
you know, who attracts everybody,
Yeah.
right?
No,
The people that go
nobody.
on there and go, look how easy this is here. I draw this trend line and I
Right.
draw that trend line and look and blah, boop, 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 blah, blah. And they attract everybody. And then they all lose money doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's efficient, I think,
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
And that
This
makes
is
sense to me.
this is why I'm so happy to be able to offer your coaching to a select few of the clients that come to the Wall Street Coach. So I feel that one of the things I have repeatedly seen you do for the period I've known you is you're always willing to be with hard truths. You're always willing to be with hard truths. Your ego is willing to go second to what's true. Do you feel like you were always like this?
Yes. Which is how I became a trader, because that doesn't work, in a corporate environment, as we all know, right? You have to
No.
kiss the ass, you have to play the game, you have to play the politics if you want to survive in that. I was never good at that, and I was, I guess, too immature in a way to accept that that was how it was and just go with it, right? So I got into this trading thing because it didn't matter, if I make money, I make money. Everybody can call me whatever the hell they want to call me,
Yeah,
a moron or this or that, or the other thing. If I make money, then I make money. And, and,
that's
and
right.
that's all that really matters. And the good thing is, at least I have found, the best way to make money over time doing this is by doing that other thing, which is taking the other side of the majority of the people. So the majority of people might not like it,
That's right.
but as long as the majority of the people are providing me with a positive P&L, then I can
That's
keep
right.
doing that. This is one of the few places in the world that I can do it. And I think that's probably how I ended up getting into this, because it was
Yeah.
survival mode.
Yep, for sure, for sure. I'm just always shocked that the discomfort is so strong in a lot of traders over what's right in front of them. And I just feel that must be just because their ego is so connected to having to be right.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we're taught our whole lives, right? You,
Yeah.
you want to be right. You're arguing with whoever and Thanksgiving dinner, whoever it is, right? You want to be right. And that's probably become even more so in this society recently, where everything is so bifurcated, right? You're either Democrat or Republican, you either love Trump or you hate Trump. You know what I mean? And it's like, no matter what happens, neither side bends. I have friends that are on both sides, and I ask them all the time, like the Trump haters,
Yep.
when he got elected. I'm like, what would it take for you? Okay. Like, what if for whatever reason, and of course, when I say this, they call me a Trumper, but which I'm not. Okay. I call myself a political atheist. But I used to say, when he won the election, I was like, what would happen if they solved the Russian war, they solved the Israeli war, they solved the inflation problem, the stock market goes up and a lot of people make money, unemployment stays low. Like, what would it take for you to say that you were wrong and that Donald Trump is actually maybe okay? And the answer from every single one of them is the same: nothing. That could never happen.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, well, then what's the point of having a side?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's the same way on the other side. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
With the people that are big Trump supporters, what would it take for you to say that this guy failed? And their answer was always the same too: no matter what he does, it's better than Biden. Okay, but Biden wasn't even the choice to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, people's egos are involved. That's the bottom line. And it's fine. I'm not saying that my ego doesn't get involved in things.
Of
Of
course.
course it does,
Sure.
but it doesn't get involved with this stuff,
Well,
because
it feels like even if you have a perspective, even when you do think something's going to happen, and as soon as you see the data that it isn't, you drop it. You drop it like a hot potato.
yeah, it's called cut loss. I lose money. I have losing trades all the time. The only thing that I believe in when it comes to the market is that over time, the majority is going to lose money over time. Not all the time,
Yep.
not every time,
Yep.
but over time, the majority is going to lose money. I believe in that.
Yep.
And I'm willing to take that to the grave. I'm willing to lose money if that's wrong.
Right.
It hasn't been wrong to this point in my career. I'm 58 years old, right? But, you know, that I believe in.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do. Figure out what the majority is doing. Figure out when the market is starting to say that they are wrong, And that's how I trade, right? Take the opposite side of the majority when the market starts to sort of confirm that it's about to happen. That's how I approach the markets. And that I believe in. But other than that, all this crap that people talk about, this, that, the AI and the data centers and the bubble, and I always say, my educational life turned around when I got to college. I didn't take high school seriously at all. When I got to college and I started studying economics and macroeconomics, I found it very fascinating. And that's when I started to do well in school. And I still find macroeconomics very fascinating. And I love to talk about it. And I find it a very interesting conversation. But it doesn't affect how I trade whatsoever, because, if you really know anything about economics, you know that it's impossible to predict the future, using economics, right?
For sure.
What do they say? 10 economists in a room and you have 11 different opinions, right?
Right, exactly.
So I find it fascinating, but it doesn't affect how I'm going to trade,
Yeah.
It's more about my understanding of economics, if I have one, is more about, okay, I get what people are saying.
Right.
I understand what they're saying, and therefore I can see when they're all saying the same thing, and I can understand that they're all saying the same consensus. And now I can start looking to fade that consensus when the time hopefully is right. That's what I would say. We have an interesting thing going on now, like with consensus right now. We hear every day, oh, there's a bubble, right? And that the bubble probably has room to run. We hear that every day. Now what I'm starting, and I put it on Twitter today, now what I'm starting to hear every day is, I heard it 3 times today, just a couple guys on TV and someone else. There's a bubble and people calling it a bubble.
Oh my God. You got to be kidding.
So I personally think there's a bubble in people saying that there's a bubble and people calling it a bubble, right? I mean, this is like the ridiculous thing, right? Is there a bubble in people calling it a bubble, or is there a bubble in people saying that now, right? And therefore it actually is a bubble. This is what goes on with in my crazy head, right? Which one is it? How do you read the psychology? And how do you do all that? And what it really has to come down to, again, is you want to have data behind you. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy, right? What's consensus? What's not consensus? You'll drive yourself nuts, right? But data helps with that, and market action, really, which is the most important thing, helps with that.
Do you feel that traders are looking at the data, but that bias is on the lens that they're looking with, and they can't see the data as it actually is?
Kim, what I have found in life as I got older, there were a few really scary examples that I witnessed. People have an incredible ability to believe whatever the hell they want to believe. The mind has an incredible ability to believe whatever they want to believe. I have found that. I have witnessed that. And I'm sure just as guilty as anybody else.
Yeah.
But witnessing other people from the outside, I had a few examples in particular in my life where I was just like, oh my God, like I knew for a fact, for whatever reason, that this was false.
Yeah.
And I watched people believe it was true until no matter how much evidence was in front of them, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. They believed it was true, and they were taking that to the grave.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is people, the human spirit has this incredible ability to justify and to believe whatever it is you want to believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's why they can look at whatever data they want, and and they will believe that. These people that have been bullish gold, listen, it's been great for 20 years. Truthfully, long gold has been great, and it could be great for another 20 years. But you even bring up even a hint of bearishness, even show data, even show this, they don't want to hear it, man. You're the bad guy at that point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I'm the bad guy. All I'm trying to do, you can go back to all of my tweets, and you can see this. I'm not, and I tweet in a very kind of, I don't know what the word would be, but I'm just trying to point things out. That's all I'm trying to do for people. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to point out, hey, maybe here is something to possibly look at. I'm not saying, hey, you got to short this, you got to buy that, because that's not right. The market's going to do what they're going to do. I'm just saying, here's some information that I'm seeing using my however many years, 35 years of experience. Here's some information that I'm seeing that my experience has shown me could be valuable.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing here,
Yeah.
right? Take it or leave it, right?
Right.
And what I get is, a lot of times people just, you're a moron, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're doing, you're going to go broke, you're going to lose a lot of money. Okay. First of all, what they don't get is whether I'm right or wrong. I'm not going to lose a lot of money. I might lose a little bit of money,
Exactly.
but I don't lose a lot of money on a trade idea because if I'm wrong, I get out.
Exactly.
So when people say that alone, I'm like, I just laugh. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then of course, if I get it wrong, they'll come back at me. Oh, you said sell and it went up, and I'm like, okay, so, and I lost, 0.5% on the trade. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, right? You can always tell who's like really a trader and who's just, who's into this for the whole ego thing, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, though, that there is that story. I think, Landmark Forum was a course I did 20 years ago that taught me we're meaning-making machines. We're going to always create meaning. And, all I think that you're trying to say is, see this about yourself because you're human as a trader, and get curious in case you're telling yourself a story that's not based in reality.
I tweeted a thing last week or 2 weeks ago that somebody had put on our Discord, a book that's called like Technical Analysis is Mostly Bullshit or something like that.
I saw that. Yep.
And I put that on Twitter. And I mean, people just, it was like the most viewed thing I ever put on Twitter. And I mean, people were just, the hatred that it showed. And like, to me, I always say, I don't care, right? If you use technical analysis in whatever form, and that works for you and you're making money, then who cares what I think?
That's right.
Quite frankly, that's first of all. Second of all, if you are using technical analysis in whatever form, and somebody writes a book, Technical Analysis is Mostly Bullshit, would you rather say that guy's a loser and isn't right? Or would you rather maybe read that book and see what he's saying? And you don't have to agree with everything he says, but maybe he has some points that could help you.
That's right.
Right? I mean, wouldn't you rather talk to people that disagree with you?
Mm-hmm.
What does talking to people that agree with you do other than pat your ego, right?
Yep.
You're going to learn from people who disagree with you, I think, right?
I think so too. Yep.
It's just like the politics thing too. I have friends who are like Democrats who refuse to speak to any Republicans. Oh, those right-wing crazies. I'm not talking to any of them. And I have Republican friends that refuse to speak to Democrats. Those lefty liberals,
Totally.
I'm like, well then, how are you going to learn? You know what I mean? And how are you going to even understand what, you sit here and you rag on how they think or what they, but you don't know how they think.
You don't know how they think. Totally.
So how do you understand? Like, there's a reason. They're not thinking different than you because you're smart and they're morons.
That's right. That's right.
There's a reason that they're thinking different than you. And maybe hearing them out, maybe there's something there. I'm not saying they're going to completely change your mind 100%, but maybe there'll be one point that maybe will open your eyes a little bit. And, but they don't want that.
No.
They don't want that because you can't go back and tell your friend group, right? Hey, I spoke to this Republican today, and actually he made a lot of sense.
Learned a lot.
Your friend's going to abandon you at that point, right?
Yeah. One of the things I think that a big city, like New York has is you are forced to be with so much diversity of thought, of cultures, of, lifestyle. And that is something I think I miss the most being in Hawaii because there isn't that much diversity here. And I really wonder sometimes if people aren't in big cities, are they not exposed to the, vast perspectives one can live their life from? And I've always wondered if, I know you live kind of in a smaller, isolated place, but I feel like you have exposed yourself to so much diversity of thought, What are your thoughts on that? Do you think somebody who has seen the world, maybe traveled, maybe been in a big city, gets to see their worldview open up a bit?
You'd like to hope so.
You would.
I don't know though. Again, I think people are so dug in. You say like New York City has a lot of diversity. Okay, so what? I still think that New York City, it's the same thing. I mean, they're about to elect, a mayor who is totally one-sided, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm not saying I agree or disagree or whatever. It's not
Mhm.
about my political belief system, but I think you can dump these people right in the middle of New York City, and they're still gonna be biased. I really do. I remember when I was in I think I was in not Tanzania, but I think it was when I was at Victoria Falls, and I was sitting there talking to these local guys who I don't know, I was sitting there playing checkers with these local guys, and they said to me, Donald Trump was the president. This was in his first presidency.
Yeah.
And they said, I don't understand. Every American that comes over here we talk to tells us that they hate Donald Trump. But meanwhile, he's the president and he won the election. So how is that? And I'm like, I think that the section of the population that you're seeing that leaves America and comes to visit Africa, is probably not indicative of the
Mm,
overall population of the country.
yeah.
They have a certain bias. People that are going to come all the way over here on travel,
Yeah.
are first of all of a certain probably income level.
Yeah.
It's not cheap to go over there.
Yep.
And second of all, of a certain, political, probably going to be more liberal, right? Let's face it, right?
Yep.
It's not to say that someone who's conservative can't go visit Africa. Of course they can, but I think in general,
Yep.
it's probably going to be a more liberal person who's going to visit Africa.
Yeah.
And that was why I think these people were saying that he told me everyone that came over there said that they hated Donald Trump.
Wow.
And he
Wow.
couldn't understand how come everybody hates him and while he's the president. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting a fair
Yeah.
sample of the voter base here.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that has to do with it, and I think that I don't know that people change their viewpoints. You like to think that they do. Look, my life changed a lot when I was young. When I left college and I went and lived overseas for like a decade. Right, I was a typical kid from New Jersey, and I spent 10 years overseas. And when I came back, my viewpoint was much different than it was when I left.
Yeah. What do you think it taught you right out of the gate?
Sorry?
What did it teach you right out of the gate that shifted that view?
That it doesn't nearly matter what country you're from or what race you are or what language you speak. Everybody's trying to essentially do the same thing, which is take care of their family.
Yep.
That's the first thing it taught me. And the second thing it taught me is it doesn't matter what country you're from and what race you are and what religion you are. There's a lot of assholes out there in all of those things, and a lot of racism and all of those things. Yeah. And you look at, it's just so ridiculous sometimes. I mean, like the Jews and the Palestinians are the same blood if you go back far enough. These people are cousins, right? I always think of Borat. You ever seen that movie Borat?
Of course.
And he hates the country that's like right next door, or he's from like whatever country he's from, and the country next door sounds just like his country, and it's got to be the same people, except that someone drew a line at some point, and he hates those people. They hate each other; they're the worst. It's like it's the same people,
Yep.
And that's the truth everywhere, right? The Indians and Pakistanis hate each other,
Yep.
Japanese and Korean. It's like it's sick.
New Yorkers in New Jersey.
No, that's right. It's it's sick.
Yeah.
Right. Even in Africa, right? The Houthis and the Tutsi, they hate these people, and I mean, it's like, come on, people. Like,
Yep.
What the fuck, and I think that the sad part, I don't know because I don't know everything, but the sad part is it's really politically motivated. I think it's other people that want you to be like that, so they can divide you and separate you, so that they can go out and steal everybody's money. At the end of the day, it's a great quote. The answer to 90% of things, or 95% of the questions, is money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I think learned when I went overseas, and lived overseas and visited all these different places. Is like, it's crazy. I lived in Thailand for a while. The people in South Thailand hate the people from North Thailand, and the people from North Thailand hate the people that live in Laos, which is right across the street from them. And like, what are you people? What are you doing?
Yep.
I mean, this is why I live where I live, and why I never leave, because I just can't take it anymore, man. I can't take it.
What
I don't get it anymore.
What do you feel traders need to keep in mind about how they themselves are doing that all the time? That they are hating on somebody who has a different perspective than them. What would you say they need to first do for them to at least stop being in the judgment and start being more in curiosity?
Why am I doing this? I do it all the time. Every trade I make. Because in the past, I have made those mistakes and lost money, and I don't want to do that anymore. I know what it feels like, right? Why am I doing this? Why am I shorting the stock market here? Am I shorting the stock market here because I missed this run up and I'm pissed that I missed the run up, and therefore I want to make sure I catch it on the downside? Because that's not a good reason to be shorting the stock market, right? I've done that in the past and it's gotten me run over,
Yeah.
right? You have to, I believe, constantly, and then this is what data can help you do. It's what helps me do. Like the data that I use to measure whether things are crowded or not. It's not perfect data. It's not right all the time. But what I have found is it keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah.
Because it won't let me put on a trade for those other reasons. I can only put on a trade because this data is confirming that things are super crowded here. Are those the only trades out there that work? No. But they're the ones that over time that work for me.
Yep.
And probably be A, because the trades work well when they work, and B, because it keeps me out of doing other trades that I shouldn't be doing, that historically have been bad ideas.
Yep.
So now I know, why am I putting this trade on? I can point to why. Because I like to be opposite the crowd, and this data is showing me the crowd is here. Okay, I can put that on. Right or wrong, I can put that on, right? So you have to ask yourself as a trader, why? And you have to try to be very honest,
Yes.
Why am I putting this trade on? Why am I getting short the stock market here? Or because I think it's a bubble. Okay, why do you think it's a bubble?
Right.
Because you're not in it? One guy said, the definition of a bubble is a market that's going up that you ain't in.
Wow. That is a great description. Holy shit.
Right? So I think you have to be very, very conscious of that. Very conscious of it.
Yeah.
And that's where keeping a diary and writing down your trade can really help, because then over time you can build up this database and you can go back and see, what was I thinking here? What was I thinking here? What was I thinking here? What was I thinking during my losing trades? What was I thinking during my winning trades? Was there a difference? Where's the good thought process? Where's the bad thought process? And you can slowly develop that. This stuff takes time. There's no answer, and we started this coaching thing, and it's not like I'm out there telling people, oh, come, I'll coach you, and within a month you're going to be the freaking greatest trader that ever lived.
Right.
It's just not real, but
Yeah.
hopefully I can set you down the path using the things that I have learned and have developed over long periods of time, so that I can help you maybe cut the time period.
Yep.
And maybe I can set you down a path that can get you to that.
And in those coaching conversations, what do you find perhaps is the least expected thing that shows up with what they're going through when they're bringing, they're showing you what they are actually doing. So they can't pretend like what they didn't do. I presume you ask them, why did you take that trade? Why did you get out? And is there anything surprising about what their answers are?
I wouldn't really call it surprising because I've done this for so long. I've made all this. I've done all the mistakes too.
Yeah.
So I recognize them. And I've worked with a lot of people, different hedge funds, and all this. I've witnessed all these things. There's nothing really that new under the sun in this idea.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really call it surprising. It's really more kind of typical. And
Mm.
the hardest thing for people, I think, is missing a trade.
Mm.
They have a hard time getting over that, and sometimes that can set them down a bad path, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes a trade goes a way that you were thinking
Hmm.
for the wrong reason, and therefore the next time you're going to put that trade on again, and it probably won't work. Like it's this whole thing is so difficult
Yeah.
for all these reasons. The predicting which way a market's going to go is hard enough, right?
Yeah.
But that's like the least of the problems we have, right? It's I always say it's the mind game that's the biggest problem we have. And one of the things I try to do with the coaching is, okay, I talk about all these things, but we do it live time. We look at markets. Hey, where in the markets are these things that I'm talking about going on now? What are you seeing in the market right now? What would you like to do? And is it doing the things that we're talking about that make a good risk reward trade? And then we get to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you wanted to put that trade on so badly, you just put it on, and look, it hasn't worked. Well, did it ever fit the point where the market was confirming that of what you thought? No. So maybe that wasn't a good idea. And seeing it live time like that, hopefully, is building the belief system, and that what I'm saying is true. Do I know everything? No, but I know what I know pretty damn well, right? So hopefully, seeing it in live time, we're building a trust thing. Like, hey, maybe this Shapiro lunatic actually does know what he's talking about, because we're seeing it lifetime.
Exactly. But I feel more than anything, you're putting glasses on them that actually allow them to see what is so, as opposed to the stories that perhaps they've talked themselves into.
Hopefully. I certainly hope so, because we just started this a couple months ago, but I'm spending quite a bit of time doing it.
Yeah.
And I certainly hope I'm not wasting my time.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not, because you're going to speak the hard truths that very few traders get to hear in a one-on-one fashion. So if you guys are interested in applying, I think we only have 1 or 2 seats even available for November. So if you are interested, please send me a DM or reach out to me at Kim at the Wall Street Coach to learn more about, what the application process looks like to work with Jason 101. But I'm very excited to be able to offer this, because the technical side of trading, I don't think it's really taught at this level anywhere else. And I think all of the traders that are listening to us here, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, guys, that you want to jump on as soon as possible. So just reach out if you have any questions about how to apply for that spot to work with Jason 101. I'm honored to be able to offer that to our clients, and I'm just excited to see what they create for themselves. But what I do know is that their vision is going to radically change. Their vision is going to radically change. And that, to me, Jason, is like, you can't, once you see the truth, you can't unsee it.
Again, I don't know. I think
already you have.
I say this all the time to people that maybe are interested in the coaching thing. I will say this, because I say this to the people that talk about maybe they should join our service and our Discord and all that. And I say don't, unless you are ready for that.
That's right. That's right.
Because you're wasting your time and your money.
That's right.
And my time. I don't need the money. So, you know what I mean? Like, don't waste my time unless you're ready. If all you're doing is making money trading, then, hey, you don't need me. You don't need anything about me or anybody else, right?
Yeah.
So by all means, if you're trading by using technical analysis and you're killing it and all that, hey, you don't need me, right?
Yep.
But if you're not and you want to, then maybe you have to look at things differently than what you have been doing.
That's right. That's right.
And I think that's when I can come in and help. But if you're not ready, then for that, then there's no point in doing it.
100%. 100%. Yes, Tina is a regular in these live coachings, and she has so much respect for you, Jason. And she's just saying here from our comments earlier, she's like, people will push back and say things to one of the best traders in the world, and it cracks her up that you get the pushback that you do on X when you post things, because she's like, are you guys paying attention to who's speaking? And she's right, as Rain. They just aren't paying attention, Jason. And
I don't, like I said, I don't care. But why are they even? If that's how they feel, then why are they even getting my tweet? Like, block me. Like,
exactly.
Like what? You know what I mean? You don't have to listen to what I say if you don't want to. That's your choice. I'm not here to force anything. I could be the biggest moron in the world for all you know. Okay, well then what? Then why even getting my tweets?
Yeah, it's
block me and stop following me or whatever it is. I forget what these words are called. I'm too old for this shit, but follow me or whatever. And then you won't get my tweets anymore. You don't have to hear my stupidity. Fair enough. I block people on Twitter all the time because I can't fucking stand their stupidity, frankly. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm blocking the wrong people. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what I do know is that you're never blocking the truth. You're always willing to hear what the truth is, even if it's contrary to what you thought was going to happen. And I don't. Huh?
In particular, if it's contrary to what I think, like I say, that's my favorite stuff there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing an interview next week with some guy who I spoke to a couple of years ago, semi-famous macro analyst.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been dead ass wrong for 2 years. He's been very bearish and, very this and that. And I have said to him, I think that you're being biased and whatever.
Yeah.
And he's actually put things on Twitter. When I have posted stuff, he's come back and said, oh, well, I don't think this is right and all that. So we set up an interview with him last week, and he came back. He said, I'd love to do the interview, but I can't believe that Jason actually wants to talk to me. I'm like, dude, you're exactly who I want to talk to. I don't want to sit here and talk to people who agree with everything that I say. I want to talk to people that disagree with everything that I say. That's the only way anyone's going to learn.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
And people don't really want to understand that. We like to surround ourselves with people that agree with us, right?
The echo chamber we prefer.
That's
yes, awesome.
All that stuff. But I love to surround myself. And people get mad at me for that too. But I'll sit in the middle of conversations and try to get them to disagree with me. And then, of course, people get mad because they think it's a fight and a disagreement. And my wife's like, what do you got to start fights with everybody for? I'm like, I'm not starting a fight. I want to hear disagreement to what I'm saying.
That's right.
Because otherwise, how am I ever going to learn if I'm possibly wrong?
That's right.
One thing that I know for a fact is that nobody's right about everything, and that includes me. You know what I mean? There's never been a person in the history of the world that's been right about every single thing that they said or thought. Right? And if you can't accept that, then A, you're in my view, you're screwed up, and B, you're never going to be successful trading.
Yeah.
In my view, right?
Yeah.
And these are the people that, and we see them all over, people that think that they're right all the time. Totally. I can admit that I have opinions.
Yeah.
And that there's no possible way that all of my opinions can be correct.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can figure out which ones are not correct by hearing from people that have different opinions than me.
Exactly.
Who in the history of the world has ever been right about every single thing they've ever said?
Nobody.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I've even had that conversation with people. I'm like, do you think that there's ever been somebody alive that's been right about everything that they've ever said? And it's either people say, no, of course not. I'm like, well, then why do you think that you're fucking right about everything?
Exactly.
Why are you so against when people disagree with you? Why do you call everyone that disagrees with you, stupid?
Yeah.
If you know that, you must be wrong about something, because you just told me no one in the history of the world has ever been right about everything. Okay, then why are you so against people that disagree with you?
That's right.
Anyway.
It sounds like what you're trying to say is use it as an opportunity to test your presumption. Use it as an opportunity to see, is your perspective tainted in some way? Could the world look different than what you thought it would?
Yeah, no, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
Yeah.
How are you ever going to figure out if you're wrong if you don't talk to people that disagree with you and you don't respect people that disagree with you?
That's
Doesn't
it.
mean you have to agree with that, but
That's right.
you should hear it. How else are you ever going to figure out if you're wrong?
That's it.
The markets will do it for you.
That's so true. So true. But that is just going to bring a much higher cost. Just going to
Correct.
bring a much higher cost. Why not get it before the cost gets so high? That piece of truth or the whole another perspective than you had.
Yeah, no, I think that's the whole point, really.
Well, it's always a delight to speak to you. Thanks for coming on today. I was hoping we'd get a volunteer or two, but maybe if we do this next month, we'll get a couple of people. I think in the beginning, people are shy to, and this too is part of what my argument is at the beginning of this. I'm trying to say, like, I get that it's vulnerable to step into a room like this as a trader and speak about a vulnerability or a place that you might be struggling with. But here's an opportunity to speak to one of the best traders in the world for free. And yet, even though we have 150 people right now watching us, nobody is coming in to get coaching. Like that just boggles my mind.
I mean, people are, especially when they're newer. I had one person I was coaching last month who was 19 years old, super smart, much smarter than me. Went to, an Ivy League school and did this incredible things even in high school, winning math awards and stuff that I could never do. And at first she would like start all the questions with, I know this might be a stupid question. I'm like, there's no stupid question. You're 19 years old, like there's no stupid questions. Like I wouldn't expect you at 19, to understand all as deeply as you might understand physics or something. I wouldn't expect you to understand the markets and all that deeply. You're 19 years old. How could you ever do it? There's no such thing as a dumb question. In fact, if you think it's dumb, then without a doubt, ask it. Let's get it out of the way. And, soon you won't be dumb because it'll be second nature. But
Exactly.
you're not just going to know this, So I think that's how people are. They get a little shy. They're worried that they're going to look stupid or something.
I think that's it. They're worried they're going to look stupid, but I'm thinking be more worried about losing your capital than looking stupid.
No, but look stupid. Better to look stupid here. Who cares?
Yes, than in your
Be
account.
stupid in the market, you know what I mean, and lose your money, like you say, right? I mean,
Exactly.
who cares how you look?
It's like it's okay and half the time when somebody does come in here is vulnerable, there are like 15 comments where the trader will say, I struggled with that too. Thank you so much for asking it out loud. I also have wrestled
Yes.
with that. It's like you get all these new friends who are like, yeah, man, me too. Me too.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's always like that because people are, believe it or not,
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah, they are.
We all fit in that normal distribution curve. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, Dan, yes, please ask your question, Dan. Or I was just going to let him go. So please type it in as quick as you can. I see you coming in on X, so I'll look on there too in case it comes in there faster. Tina, thanks for always being here, part of this community. Dan, well, if you want to come in, you can ask it live or you can just type it in. It's up to you. If you want to come in, I'm going to give you the link that you would press if you want to ask Jason directly. So let me just put that in and I'm going to put it on X to Dan. So you can use that if you want it. All right. Stand by for your question, Dan.
Big Dan.
Hopefully, Dan, you're writing your question in there. But if you go into the X, you can click on that live stream and come right in to ask the question if it takes too long to type, or you'd rather just have a conversation with Jason. All right, Dan, let me know that question's being typed in. So I keep Jason here to answer it. I just don't want to waste his time if you're not going to follow up with that question. I'll give you another moment or two. I'm sure. Okay, so quickly, Jason, Dan's question is, how does intuition show up in a professional environment? Thanks for your question, Dan.
How does intuition show up in a professional environment? Let's think about this. I am a personal believer that intuition is a function of experience. You know, I don't think that it's natural to have intuition. I think you have intuition because you've done something so many times. You've seen this before that's kind of, your intuition, right? I was watching the baseball playoffs the other night, and the commentator is like calling what pitches he thinks the pitcher is going to make
Mm,
and getting it right a large percentage of the time. And I'm like, that's amazing. But
wow.
it's because this guy was a pitcher for 30 freaking years of his life and he coached pitchers. So his intuition is based on the fact that he has so much
Yeah.
experience doing that.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's what intuition is. It's really just experience. So certainly that comes into play um, in any kind of environment with trading or anything else. Hopefully, experience has to be worth. You'd like to believe something. You
Yeah.
know, yes, I have a very strict set of rules for my trading. So does that mean that 35 years or whatever of trading that I've done is worth nothing? You
Right.
know,
Right.
not really. I think that what I've done, I've taken what I've learned and what my intuition is, and I put it into my process. Um, that's what I think. I
Yeah.
hope that answers the question in
Yeah.
a good way. But
I think it's a great answer, and I think that's something that a lot of traders don't realize about intuition is that it is just recognition. A lot of times, the body's recognition before the cognitive recognition even is, conscious of what it's processing. So, Dan, hopefully that gave you what you were looking for. But thanks for being here and for asking a question. I'm going to let you go, Jason. I know you've been here a long time today. Thank you for being here.
okay,
Thank you for offering your coaching. And again, if anybody's interested in learning more about how to work with Jason 101, please reach out to me, Kim at thewallstreetcoach.com, and I can tell you what is involved to see if it's really a match for you. Oh, thank you, Dan. Good to have you here. Jason, always a pleasure to be in a conversation with you. Thank you for being here.
always good, Kim. Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. Take
We'll
good
talk to
care.
you soon.
Thank you. You bet. Aloha for now. What a great conversation. What is the biggest lesson that I hope you guys are walking away with from today is that stop being so attached to your perspective that it keeps you out of other ways of thinking. If there's one thing I hope you leave with today is see if you can't step into other perspectives in not just your trading, but in your life. Because what often happens for every human is we get comfortable in the echo chamber we spent most of our time in. So ask yourself, what is in your echo chamber on your social media feeds, in your circles of people that you hang out with or go to dinner with or have drinks with? Ask yourself how much diversity of thought is around you. I can promise you the more diversity of thought, those who have a different perspective than you understand where they're coming from, what is informing that perspective, and notice in yourself the resistance you might have to stuff that you see online from other traders. You may see something a trader says that you can't even comprehend, but instead of calling them an idiot or judging them, how about you send them a DM and say, Guy, I can't see what is you're saying, but I'm really wanting to. Would you tell me how it is you came from that perspective? If you feel it's a person that's legit and they're not just doing it to get clicks, which I think today you have to be careful of too. I think sometimes people are just looking for the clicks and they will say something outlandish that they don't actually even believe or agree with. So use your discretion, but seek to understand as opposed to be 100% certain, and allow yourself to step even once a week into a perspective just to stretch yourself. All that's going to do is again build that emotional grit. That is what we're looking for. All right, I'm going to shut this down in a few minutes, but I just want to check if anybody wants to come in for their own emotional, issues, something where you feel psychologically you keep being stuck in some place where you feel like you keep making the repeated mistake around either you have FOMO or you can't cut a loss and you want me to tackle that and do some speed coaching. Please come into the room now before I close it down. We have a few minutes left. If that is something you want coaching on, please feel free to put that either now in a comment or click that link if you're on X where it says join us. You just have to click that live stream and that'll take you right into this room. And then I can bring you on and coach you quickly. These hot seats, I've been doing it, I think, for almost 2 years. Tina, I don't know if you're still in the room. Tina seems to know better my counts than I know, but I think I've been doing that almost for 2 years. And it has been incredibly profound, not only for the coach, for the client or the trader who comes into the coaching, but always, guys, whatever it is that you think you're the only one struggling with, what you discover very quickly is that there's a whole community of traders who are wrestling with the same demon. They too are struggling with something. And that is what I think is the biggest loss in the trading community, is that this community is not as vulnerable with each other as you guys could be. And it really breaks my heart because I feel the biggest stumbling block for traders is that isolation. And one of the things that I think you guys get to have access to is a bigger community, a bigger circle of traders who could be supporting you and you could be supporting in return. But there is a cost to that admission. There is a cost to walk through that gate, and that is vulnerability, a willingness to be uncomfortable, a willingness to not look perfect here online, a willingness to be human. But you got to ask yourselves, guys, even like what Jason was just saying now, he is human. You are human. None of us, I'm human. We're all going to be fallible until we're 6 feet under the ground. So the key is, how do you embrace that vulnerability? How do you begin to get comfortable with your humanity? One of those ways is to come onto these kind of platforms and raise your hand and say, you know what I'm struggling with? It's X, Y, or Z. Because then you're going to see countless people in the comments say, me too, brother. Me too. I struggle with that as well. All right, Trader Prod, how are you? It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. I've been great, Trader Prod. I'm really glad you're here, and I hope life is good with you too. Let me know if you want to come into the room, Trader Prod, for some coaching. If you do, I'm going to put the link right there in the comments. And if you'd like to come in for some speed coaching, please come right in. Just click that link, and then I'll put you on in the green room. You may or may not be in a position to do that, Trader Prod, but if you are, I'd love to see you and hear how things are. I know I've been busy during trading hours, so I haven't been able to catch you. Good to hear your voice. Thank you, Trader Prod. It's good to have you here. And I'm glad you've been busy during trading hours. That tells me you're working hard. I'm glad that you're doing that, and I'm proud of you for working so hard. Well done. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anybody ask any questions that are, psychology based. If anybody wants to throw this up before I close this up, feel free. If anybody wants to come in for some live coaching, please just let me know that you're going to come in and I'll wait for you. But if nobody's coming in, then I'm going to probably wrap it up. I know I haven't done these on a regular basis this summer. I definitely had to take off. Some of you guys know that I wrote a second book called Trade, Born of Two Oceans. And my guest author is here right now, guys. Hi, Uncle. Hi, Uncle. I'm doing a live. Well, I'm on a live stream, so come in for a minute. Come in.
I need
Okay. Do you need
just a little bit of information.
Okay. Come here. Let me close this up. Come here. Sit here for a second. Come sit here for a second, because we're on a live stream, so I want to let you meet some people. So sit down. So some of you guys know that this is the newest book I have, Born of Two Oceans, and that is this man's memoir. Uncle Manny, we have some traders in the room, those who are trying to sometimes develop their emotional grit to be stronger. What would you say is your best advice? Tell people your name and how old you are.
Oh,
How old are you?
so what you need?
I need you to tell them how to develop emotional grit. If you're talking to people, what would you say is at 93
About what?
about life? How to
About life.
have more grit.
You have, but first, you better have a damn good attitude on life.
Okay.
That's the main key. Your attitude, your mind.
Mm-hmm.
People will always be what they be.
Mm-hmm.
You are what you are. And make the best of it. Everything is you, nobody else. Different kind of people, different situations. It's still you with your own mind. Think before you move. Very important. You make one mistake, sometimes it's hard to erase. I know. Been there. That's it.
And when times are difficult, what is your advice? How to handle when times are difficult?
About the what?
When life is difficult,
Ah,
how would you advise people? What do they lean into when
yeah.
life is hard?
Well, life is difficult in different ways. It's up to you how you're going to handle the situation. Much of the time, turn off. You get tight, you get tense. People irritate you. You're going to have to learn how to turn off the whole situation, move on to something else, because it's not worth it. It's not going to give you any benefit by being Hawaiian. We have a word for that, nuha. Nuha means when you get a little bit stubborn or somebody irritates you and you try to confront. Is it worth it? So for me, through life, my young days, I confronted everything in front of me, knocked down, stand up, whatever. Later on in life, you watch people, you live with people, different people. You figure all of that was worth exactly nothing. Now, in later life, turn it off. It's not worth it because you're not going to win. The other person isn't going to win, and the other person doesn't know what you know because they don't know how to turn off, and they're going to keep coming. I just look at them, smile, wave, and walk away. I have learned that maybe within the last 20 years. Very interesting. The thing is all up to you. You call the shots. Don't wait for somebody because might not work. That's what I can tell you.
Perfect advice. If you want more of this man's wisdom, this is his memoir, which I helped him write, called Born of Two Oceans. We do have it up on Amazon. Two legends today, Jason Shapiro and Manny Vincent, 93 years young. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. It was such a pleasure to get to have both of them here. Uncle Manny just came by my office, so I had to invite him in. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you guys next